This is Patrick McCroch. He is a 14-year-old and he's failed trials to be signed at an academy club. However, he is good enough to play in Tier 10 of the English game and play Sunday League men's football for Elburton Villa. His dream, though, is to win the Ballon d'Or trophy, and that's why he's hired me as his agent. Every season, I have the ability to move him to a different club, but it will be up to Patrick, or Pat for short, to score goals and develop as a player. And every season, if he hits a milestone, his attributes will increase to help him along his journey. So if he wants to achieve his dream, he better start scoring some goals pretty quick. So here is Pat's abilities, age 14. He has great natural fitness, but lacks the ability that professional clubs are currently looking for in their academies. But that's why he is currently playing at Elburton Villa, a club based in Plymouth, where he's found first team football in the South West Peninsula League. And this league is in Tier 10 of the football pyramid, meaning they would need 9 promotions to reach the Premier League. For now though, it's where Pat can find his feet, score some goals and gain some vital experience playing at this level. But that's why goals are going to be really important, because for every 10 goals that he does score, I can add an extra 5 current ability points to his current ability right now, which is only at 52 out of 200. And if Pat wants to win the Ballon d'Or, he needs to be classed as one of the best players in the world. And at 14 years old, it doesn't look like he's ever going to amount to that. And so he continued to work really hard before his summer transfer move up to the tier above. Because as his agent, I need to make sure I'm doing my job and finding him the club that will give him the perfect opportunity to keep going up the football pyramid and into the football league. And because Elburton Villa didn't gain promotion, I found him a suitable club to move to next season. Now I'm very excited about the club he's going to be going to, because I actually played for this club when I was 16, 17 years of age. So hopefully Pat McCroch can have a better time than what I did at that club. But unfortunately this season, he only got 19 goals all season. He got 2 non-competitive, but we're not counting that. We're only counting competitive goals, which means 19. He didn't quite make the 20 goal requirement to get 10 current ability points. And if we're looking right now, his current ability is set at 52, which means we're going to bump him up to 57. Now it might not look like much, but I've added a bit of pace, a bit of acceleration, a finishing ability as well, a couple of bits here and there. And if we're looking at his current ability now, it is up to 57. So there's the 5 points added. This is why it's really important that Patrick keeps scoring loads of goals. But his move to his new club has been complete. We are now playing for Saltash United in the Western Premier Division, a tier 9, in the county leagues, which is the one tier above where he was in the Southwest Peninsula League. So the Western Premier Division, Saltash United is my former club. I played for them as a youngster. Very good setup there at Kimberley Stadium. I'm very excited to see what Patrick McCroch can do this season, just 15 years of age. And so far so good for Pat, as he's settling in well, combining nicely with his strike partner Jaden Gilbert. But despite Pat doing his job to an extent, unfortunately the rest of the Saltash United team didn't do theirs. They had a terrible run from the middle to the end of the season, and if it wasn't for a draw on the final day, they would have been relegated. So it's no surprise at all that Pat McCroch only managed to score 16 league goals, and 3 was in the FA Vase, meaning again he was 1 short of the 20 goals needed for 10 current ability points. So yeah, we can only add 5 current ability points again to the 57 that he's currently sat on. And of course as well, I'm also going to transfer him to a club in the tier above. And again, I found the perfect club. So from Saltash United to Plymouth Parkway, who are sat in the Southern League Division 1 South. And with the move being imminent and actually on his 16th birthday, I've given Pat 5 extra current ability points that now takes him up to 62. Now the Southern League Division 1 South, where Plymouth Parkway reside in, is in the tier 8 of the football pyramid. And they are one of the better teams, but they're struggling this season. Pat is a star player for them though, and he's carrying the weight of the team on his shoulders already, scoring 6 goals in their first 13 matches so far. As his time at Plymouth Parkway continues, however, he scores more and more goals throughout the season. And despite Parkway finishing mid-table in the league, Pat developed unbelievably well at the club, jumping up in his current ability himself, as well as crossing that 20 goal threshold he struggled with seasons before. So this is now exciting, because what I might even do with Pat is bump him up 2 leagues compared to where he is now, 2 tiers. He's at a current ability of 84. Obviously, we left him in like the 60s, so he's gone up himself quite a lot, and now we're going to bump him up to 94. And he's only 17 years old, so I really need to pick his next club very carefully. The Enterprise National League South, 2 steps up from Plymouth Parkway and the home of Sutton United. And they just so happen to be friends of mine, so I think this could be the perfect place for Patrick to go. So I'm going to put a word in for him. And they were more than happy to take Patrick on because just look at him. What a player who's just about to turn 17 after his 10 current ability upgrade for hitting the 20 goal milestone. And after a difficult start with a couple of seasons where he didn't quite hit the mark, I think from now on we might see him begin to dominate despite the leap up a couple of divisions. And like the good agent that I am, I'll be there with him, rooting for him. And the Sutton fans soon began to love McCroch as much as we all do. They had every right to love him too, as he scored 25 goals for them this season, saving them from relegation. Despite having Pat on their side, it is rather worrying how far down the table Sutton United were. And as for Pat, he's yet to play for a good team, and yet he's still scoring goals. So of course, with the 20 plus goals that he did manage to score, he was at 110 current ability. We've bumped him up now to 120, and we have moved him to Torquay United. So he's come back down southwest, but that is because they are currently in Sky Bet League 2. So we're going up 2 tiers once again, but I think he is good enough because if we're looking at Torquay United's side, their best player is now Pat McCroch, who is 120 current ability to Nick, who is the other striker, only at 108. So it means I've got to change my hats back and take my scarf off again because I can't support Sutton United now that Pat's not there. So finally, we have got Pat into the Football League, which is exciting, and his dreams of becoming a professional footballer have come true. But his ultimate dream of winning the Ballon d'Or is probably some way off still at this point in his career, so he needs to continue working hard. Once again, his team did not perform well with him in the side and finished in 17th place. However, it's definitely not Pat's fault, who again got over the 20 goal milestone to increase his current ability by 10, which still sits at 120 this summer after no development at Torquay. So we've bumped his attributes up once again by 10 and especially locking in some extra pace and acceleration because he's going to need it, as I plan to move in this summer back home. That's right, he started his journey playing Sunday League football in Plymouth, and now he's 19 years old and on the pitch playing for Plymouth Argyle at Home Park. They are playing in the league above Torquay United in Sky Bet League 1 and are one of the favourites for promotion to the Championship. And Pat certainly felt back at home as the crowd were always behind him and his teammates were always looking out for him too. Once again though, it was a disappointing season for him, and I was starting to think that he might be some kind of jinx. Development at the club was crazy though, going to 139 current ability. And so although he only got 14 goals, I did think maybe we need to give him another chance at Plymouth Argyle. A little bit of bias, but it's his hometown club after all. This could be the first season where he spends more than one season at a club, and I think it was the correct move. So he set his current ability up to 144, adding those 5 extra current ability points thanks to his 14 goals, and let him off his leash in Season 7. In what turned out to be his best season yet, as he went all the way to Wembley Stadium in the playoff final and scored a goal against Millwall. And what makes it even better, it was a victory at Wembley Stadium too. Plymouth Argyle are promoted from Sky Bet League 1, but it's going to be a parting gift from Pat McCroch. 36 goals though, which means we get to add 15 current ability points to his current ability, and he is at 152. Now, I have already arranged his transfer to Sunderland, who are playing in the Premier League this season and next season just by a single point. They need somebody with the caliber of Pat McCroch, and he has gone from having some really unlucky seasons down in the southwest. Now I want him to play north, so far north, and try and get away from this little bit of a jinx patch that he's been having with clubs down south. So with his 15 current ability points upgrade, he is now looking incredible, with again a huge boost in speed and physicals, and his general ability is up to 167, a star man for the Premier League. He's gone from playing Sunday League in front of 40 to 50 people to the Premier League with 40 to 50,000 at least in every game. His first year at the Stadium of Light seeing Sunderland finish mid-table, but Pat would struggle for goals with only 14 all season, and the big clubs are after him, like Barcelona. I'm not quite sure I want to send him abroad to Barcelona just yet. There's a couple of places that I think might be better suited to him, but with only 14 goals, we can only add 5 current ability. He's already at 177 though, so I don't really think it's going to matter too much at this point, but hey, let's still add those points on. Up to 184 now out of 200, and a move to North London with Arsenal. After looking through all the big clubs, they were the one that desperately needed a striker the most. And finally, Pat found a club where he can lift some silverware, as they first of all beat Spurs in the Carabao Cup final, which was his first trophy, but then Arsenal went all the way and won the Premier League, meaning this first season winning a trophy, and it's the biggest domestic trophy around. Not to mention, he also scored 32 goals this season, his best yet, meaning we would add 15 current ability points, but he's already at 190, so all you can do is set him to 200. So that's what I did, setting him to 200 current ability, making him the best player in the world. Speaking of which, his teammate Lennart Carr was previously the winner of the Ballon d'Or, so he's in the right place for now. So a season playing with the previous best player in the world should be great for someone striving for the same award. Pat definitely chose the correct club, as it was back-to-back Premier League titles for Arsenal, including the Golden Boot for this league campaign as well, as the FA Cup trophy was lifted too, and that was thanks to Pat scoring 36 total goals this season. It was also back-to-back wins for Lennart Carr with the Ballon d'Or as well, a phenomenal player that Pat is also competing for with his dream award. The following season, disaster, as Arsenal dropped down the league table, and while Pat was still top scorer of the league, not a single trophy was won for Arsenal this season. And what makes it worse, it's former Arsenal player Bukayo Saka who wins the Ballon d'Or while at PSG. I did notice that Arsenal have changed manager recently. Mikel Arteta has left the club, so maybe I just need to give it one more year just to see how things play out with Pat and Arsenal. The next season though was even worse, as Arsenal dropped down to 5th place in the league table, and Pat wasn't even the top scorer of the league. He still scored the most goals for Arsenal, but their manager was sacked, and it was another year without a single trophy. Alright, for the sake of Pat probably not winning the Ballon d'Or at Arsenal, I think we do have to move club. I'm kind of thinking though we stick in the Premier League. There's a couple of clubs that I'm really interested at potentially sending him to. Manchester United pops out quite a lot, and the main reason is their striker Kamada. They're also playing 2 up front, which obviously means he will play more, and he's better than both of the strikers, and they just finished, well, second, because Marco Rose is the manager too. He loves a 4-2-2, which works very well in this. Works very well. I think he could be quite successful at Manchester United. They've just won the Europa League, so they're winning competitions. They won the Carabao Cup. They should have won the Premier League. They bottled it on the final day. I think we found our club. So we got a deal done to Manchester United for my client Patrick for the reasonable price of £150 million. The move to Manchester United was a great one, as Marco Rose's men play great football. They absolutely whooped the league by 10 points. Pat was in the league's top scorer, and in total he scored 39 goals overall, lifting the league and Carabao Cup at his new club. 2 new winners of the Ballon d'Or though, and neither of them are Pat, as Lamine Yamal and Rodrigo Mora of Juventus pick up the award. It was another Premier League win for United the season after, and Pat's 21 goals still managed to get him the Golden Boot, but less goals overall, and that's because they failed in all other competitions. In fact, his old club Arsenal got to the final of the Champions League, a competition you should be trying to win if you want to win the Ballon d'Or, as Endrick picks up this time and Pat is in the runners-up position. Which means we're in touching distance of this now. Last season, Rodrigo Mora, and he wasn't even in the top 3. This season, Endrick, who was 3rd place last year, wins it, but Pat is in 2nd. And yet all they're doing is winning the Premier League. So we need to win other competitions. Can Manchester United do it in the big stages of the Champions League? That's what we need to find out. The following season felt like we were stagnating, as although Manchester United won the league again, Pat only scored 20 Premier League goals. Still the highest, but it was just another Carabao Cup win as the Champions League was won by Juventus. With him now aged 28, I had considered moving him clubs again. It's been a good 4 years at United, but he didn't even finish in the top 3 this year of the Ballon d'Or. And so a couple of calls was made, and I got him a move to the Bernabeu. So would this new venture be more fruitful than his last 2 clubs in the Premier League? Well, this doesn't look good. Real Madrid finish in 3rd place, behind Villarreal and Barcelona, and 14 points behind Barcelona too. However, Pat McCroch had the highest average rating, had the most goals across the whole season. He got 31 goals. If we were still adding current ability points to him, he would be unbelievable. Of course, we can't. He is already set to the maximum. He got 33 goals across the whole competition, and luckily for him, Real Madrid, well, they are still Real Madrid. I mean, Xavi Alonso is still at the club. I still don't know how, to be honest. The Champions League, they didn't manage to win that either. Juventus has gone on and won that. They couldn't win the Copa del Rey. Atletico Madrid knocked them out. Was this a bad move? It feels like Pat McCroch has made a good move going to Real Madrid of all places, and then he's still a curse. I don't know. Let's hope not. What makes it worse is after 2 years of the Ballon d'Or going to a Spanish club, this season it went to a Chelsea player. Another season in a Real Madrid shirt though, and another season where it feels like the jinx has followed Pat. 37 goals for the club this season, but what a horrendous season it was. No trophies again. Villarreal somehow pull off the domestic double and win La Liga with Real Madrid down in 5th place. But finally, they've decided to sack Xabi Alonso. And it's back-to-back Chelsea players as the other winger wins the Ballon d'Or. Real Madrid need a standout manager to come into the club now. They need somebody special. And what they got was Anthony Barry. Now, to be fair to Anthony, who starts off as the assistant manager at England, he has had some career. He went to Blackburn, Nottingham Forest, Everton, but then went to Inter Milan and stayed there for 6 years. And is classed down here, as you can see, as an Inter Milan legend. But then the telling tale is he was the Villarreal manager. He was the Villarreal manager that was causing us trouble. That was winning La Liga. That was winning the Copa del Rey. Now he's gone to Real Madrid and still finished in 2nd place, behind Real Sociedad. What is happening here? I mean, the Ballon d'Or this season was won again by Sebastian Pavon, so it's another Chelsea player, 3 in a row. Chelsea are doing very well by the looks of it, which I guess if we have a look at the Champions League, might give away. I mean, actually, Chelsea's not won it in any of those 3 seasons, so I don't quite know how those Chelsea players have won it. Maybe they've just been dominating the Premier League. They won Real Madrid won the Copa del Rey. La Liga, obviously, we didn't know. And the Europa League, they also didn't win either. That was won by Sunderland, who beat Real Madrid in the final. So Sunderland, his former club, is now beating him in the final. However, Pat did score in Anthony Barry's. I mean, he looks like he's playing wing-backs with 2 attacking midfielders. He's playing basically Amarim's 3-4-3. He did score 40 goals. So that's quite good. It's good, but we need more. We need more trophies to be won by Pat if he's to lift the Ballon d'Or trophy. The following season, they just won La Liga finally. On the same points, Atletico Madrid, with Villarreal down in 11th place. But he wasn't the top scorer, and that's because he didn't even manage to get 30 goals across the whole season. And Sebastian Pavon wins 3 Ballon d'Ors in a row, as Pat is not even runners up to him anymore like he was the last 2 years. And with Pat now at the age of 32, we need a miracle season from him and Real Madrid. But with even Benfica winning the Champions League, breaking the curse, Real Madrid did emphatically lift the La Liga trophy, and Patrick was phenomenal, scoring 40 league goals and getting 47 goals in total throughout the season. It's been enough to win the FIFA Men's Player of the Year, but will it be enough for the Ballon d'Or, which was won by a Chelsea player this season for the 5th season in a row? And the reason for the good form and the amount of goals that Pat scored is because his episode, boss Marco Rose is now in charge at the Bernabeu. And as much as Pat enjoyed playing football under Rose again, it didn't last that long. Because Marco Rose retired from management the season after, leaving Pat and Real Madrid in second place in the league, while Malaga, a team that finished in 10th place in La Liga, won the Champions League. What is happening? You honestly just couldn't write it. I mean, they finished second in the league. Malaga win the Champions League. I'm so confused. They didn't even win a trophy this season. The one positive, though, is that I also noticed Chelsea were now looking for a manager after the manager that was in charge of them, Abel Ferreira, who had been there for a year, and they kept sacking managers despite having the Ballon d'Or winner. Which, by the way, let's take a look, because the current Ballon d'Or winner was 5 Chelsea players in a row. The best FIFA men's player, Pat has won that 3 times. But that's not the competition. He is now 34 years of age, and he can now call himself a Ballon d'Or winner. He's done it. The following season, Xabi Alonso returned at Real Madrid in the dugout, which spelled bad news for Pat, as he only started 8 games for Real Madrid that season, with a lot of injuries as well creeping up on the 35-year-old. But there was one last gift, as Patrick McCroch became a 2-time back-to-back winner of the Ballon d'Or, and his dream of being the best player in the world lasted just a little bit longer. There we have it then, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe, because you don't want to miss more videos just like this, where we take players like Patrick McCroch and try and win the Ballon d'Or. I want to try more things like this. I want to agent more videos. I want to find wonder kids and make their dreams come true, just like we did with Patrick McCroch. So make sure you are subscribed, and of course check out this video on screen, because Dad and I went back in time to the El Clasico days of Messi and Ronaldo, 2015-16 database, the retro database, and we did a versus rebuild. Go check it out.